take questions from the audience. Just please remember to identify yourself and pose it in the form of a question.
Craig Williams from Manning. I am the chairman of the Republican Central Committee here in Carroll County, also the treasurer for King for Congress and treasurer for the State Party of Iowa. Mr. Mulbauer, you've mentioned at least 5 times that I've seen, read, or heard about the governor's budget being $800 million above last year's budget, but you never mentioned the one-time funds that are used to that were spent above and beyond last year's budget. And I don't understand why. I think the people look to their representatives to give them all the facts of, in these cases, but you keep excluding that. I'm curious why.
First of all, I was not a representative last year, but in referring to the one-time funds, actually come down through the federal, would that come in? I thought that honestly was a very wise spot to use that money to fill these coffers. What you do when we set up a budget, in fact we're doing it right now, we set the budget, our expenditure budget for this year now, but our revenues come in the next year. So to say that, you know, they overspent, they did whatever, you know, it's always hard to set my expenditure budget now, but I gotta wait to see next year what my revenues are gonna be. And the thing that is happening right now, we set the budget for this year already, but our revenues are climbing. So anytime you go into a year where your revenues are climbing, it makes you look like a genius the year before, or that year that you're in, because everything is going up. And what he did, what Governor Culver did last year, and I wasn't in the House, this is what they did, but they took those one-time funds that come down through the federal, instead of using it to build new projects, new things, they did it to backfill and take care of our operating expenditures, which I thought was a very wise thing. And one of the things, like they said, they did too, was iJobs, which helped stimulate the economy in a time when we were falling backwards to get things going. And this year, with our added revenues, all these one-time coffers that we feel are going to be filled back up, and we're going to have a balance on the other side as well. Because if you read what the Republicans are telling us is, we're $700 million short in our funds this year. We overspent $700 this year. Well, if that is true, how come all of our coffers are going to be filled back up? And they are proposing to give $327 million back in tax relief. Something isn't adding up. That means that we're going to have a surplus of money left over in order to backfill.
Let me read to you what it says in the fiscal year 2012 budget recommendations. And you've mentioned the Legislative Services Agency several times. But it says that the governor's budget includes the funding of $709.4 million in appropriations funded from non-general fund sources in fiscal year 2011. The programs funded from the $709.4 million are primarily a recurring cost that had been funded from the general fund prior to fiscal year 2011, and the governor's recommended moving the funding for these programs back to the general fund. So isn't it true then that the governor's budget, while it may appear to be $700, $800 million higher than last year, it's actually, he's just fixing an issue that occurred last year when they took money back out of the general fund and paid for it with one-time stimulus funds?
If that is the true case, also look at, he is going to drop over all this tax cuts that he's making to all the taxpayers. It's looking at about a $1.5 billion tax break to go back to all the taxpayers. Okay, anytime you drop revenues, you better be dropping expenditures on the other side. Anybody doing business realizes that. So if these numbers are all true, how can that work out?
Well, it came from the Legislative Services Agency.
Right. Yeah, and I have
those
too.
Numbers have been in the budget in the past and were taken out of the budget last year, and now the governor's putting them back into the budget. So frankly, he's just making up for an error. Senator Kettering, can you comment?
Well, this is the sustainable budget question that everybody is talking about. And if you just take the governor's numbers on the face and compare it to the general fund budget of last year, you're correct. If you take what was actually spent from other sources, including the federal stimulus money, including gambling money through the Rebuild Iowa Infrastructure Fund, including stealing from the storage tank fund, including another miscellaneous things, the governor brings all of those back into the general fund budget. And when you compare those budgets, they're much more balanced than the numbers would indicate.
otherwise.
So what we're trying to do going forward is not overpromise and then have a 10% across the board cut, which just tore our schools apart. We're trying to go forward with a sustainable number that can be delivered, and that's the process that we're going to go through, and that's the conflict that will exist between the majority party in the Senate, the majority party in the House. One will say, we've got all of this money, let's just spend it. Never mind, it won't be there the next year. The other's saying, look, we know the reserves are going to be filled. I concur with that. The reserves will be filled. But let's have a budget that we can build on and we can sustain it from year to year.
Another question?
Virginia Hageman and I meet. Do you expect any federal money coming in like past?
Well, Virginia, there is always a significant amount of federal money that comes in and through the state budget. There will not be any stimulus money that comes in through the state budget.
So there'll be a reduction.
There'll be a reduction from there. You will always have the Medicare, Medicaid type payments that come from the federal level and pass through the state budget. Now, you never see them because we always talk about a $6 billion general fund budget or something like that, when in fact the state probably spends somewhere in the neighborhood of $14 billion as the money that flows through.
Yeah, but Mayor, on this, we have a lot of programs out there that are match monies, federal and state match monies. That's what, so you're always going to have programs like that.
But you are, and we have made a mistake in the past, and I think we need to look at it. You can go broke matching what the federal programs that the federal government wants you to do. You want to be careful about that because they'll give you money for 2 or 3 or 4 years. You'll get your program going. You'll hire an extra police officer, or whatever the case may be, and then all of a sudden the federal program goes away and you've got the local and state taxpayers facing that. So you've got to be careful of that.